Namo Buddhaya. Dear Dhamma brothers and sisters, I'm very happy to be with you this wonderful Sunday morning to do some reflection and also share the Dhamma. We are coming to the end of the year. The year will be closing very soon, in just a few weeks. So it's a good time for us to do some reflection. So when I thought about what to do or share this Sunday morning, I was thinking that it would be good to reflect on what we should do for the coming year and what should we focus on in order to strengthen our study and our practice of the Buddha's teachings. I thought back about what Ajahn Jaya Saro said to us during the interview which we recorded and broadcasted some weeks back. And in his advice, he mentioned that we should always be focused on right effort in general and the four great efforts in particular. So I was thinking that it would be good, since we are doing some reflection, to look at the four great efforts and how we can incorporate that in our lives to be more steady, to be more focused, and motivated, as we go along the Dhamma path. So, looking at this slide, as I said, it's a time for reflection and resolution. Many people, when they come to the new year, they reflect and then they make resolutions. And I think it's the same with us. In the Mahamangala Sutta, the Buddha mentioned this advice which he gave to actually the whole world in order to gain great blessing. So he gave this advice as Atta Samapanidi. The line goes, it's towards the end of the stanza. Atta Samapanidi cha etang mangala muttamang. That is the highest blessing. So it's one of the great advices which the Buddha gave to us in order to be happy and to lead a real blessed life. So Atta Samapanidi, it means it is very good for a person, especially one who is studying and practicing the Dhamma in a very committed way. It's good for one to be well directed, to have focus, to have direction in life. And when we do this, it will bring us blessing. Meaning to say, when we follow this advice, we will feel very secure in our study and practice, and it will bring us very much happiness. So it is also a way that leads us to the perfect development, or the deeper development of our true potential. Every one of us have our own personal potentials. But if we don't push ourselves, if we don't plan, in fact, if we don't know where we are going, we will get lost. If we don't make sure that we know the journey and the plots of the journey, that means to say which direction and where we should be at certain times, we will be lost. So it's good that coming to the end of this year, which has been actually full of challenges, we think hard, and we give it the required reflection so that we can gather ourselves, and in the coming year, we can do our planning of what must be carried out in order to get nearer and nearer to our true potential. So, setting oneself in the right direction means identifying a wholesome target. So what is this wholesome target? Yeah, we shall discuss this. And we should work towards it with diligence and perseverance. So with these two important qualities, yeah, we should be confident that we are going forth, yeah, we are going forward, yeah, in a very secure way. So a Buddhist, when we do this reflection, and then also come up with our new resolutions for the year, we should reflect on our mental states and also our mental attitudes to see whether what we are thinking and experiencing now, yeah, in the mind are in line with our objectives. And then, yeah, we should plan, yeah, make sure that we know what we are doing to cultivate ourselves towards achieving, yeah, our own spiritual goals. It's a very useful, yeah, and a very beneficial thing, yeah, to do this kind of reflections. The Buddha did advise that we should reflect very often. Yoniso manasikara. This is the Pali term. And when we reflect often, we get to know where we are at. Yeah? And knowing where we are at, we are able to formulate what else we need to do, yeah, in order to advance. So, the four great efforts in relation to right effort. Yeah, as you know, right effort is one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. And it is with effort that we can improve ourselves. We might know a lot, yeah, and when we listen to wonderful Dhamma talks, such as the one, you know, we were viewing, yeah, of Achanjaya Saro, we can be very motivated and inspired, in fact, by what we listen. But if we don't put in the effort, we are not going to get anywhere. We still stay in the same place. But when we put in effort, yeah, there is the required activities to do what we are supposed to do, then only, yeah, we can get nearer to our goals and our objectives. So effort is very important indeed. And in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha has put right effort grouped in with right mindfulness and right concentration. Because these three factors, yeah, we can call them the higher mind. They will lead us towards the higher cultivation, yeah, of the mind and bring us closer to our spiritual goals. I'd like to share with you this beautiful picture of a very well looked after garden. And in looking at where we should go and what we should develop, I would like to introduce this metaphor or the analogy, yeah, of a beautiful garden. This garden here cannot be kept, or you cannot get such a beautiful garden if it was not to be looked after with effort. So effort has to be put inside there. You know, there must be the work that has gone into it in order for the flowers to look so healthy, in order for the grass, you know, to look so green and to be kept neat and short. Yeah, and for all the other elements of this garden, yeah, to be in such a good condition. Which means to say, whoever is looking after this garden, in order to get it in such a beautiful condition, he or she must be constantly putting in, yeah, the right effort. Because, as you know, some of you might like gardening very much. You have to stop, or you have to prevent certain things or certain plants from coming in. Yeah, you have to make sure that the pests, such as birds, as well as certain insects and worms, do not destroy what you have been trying to grow. And then you got to put in the nutrition into the soil. And when the flower starts to bloom, you've got to put in also the fertilizer, the water, and make sure that the sun falls upon these plants, and the flowers, in the right amounts, so that they can be healthy, so that they can grow, to their full potential. If they are supposed to be so big, they must grow to be so big. If they are supposed to grow so tall, they must grow to be so tall. So great effort is needed. So I'm using this beautiful garden as the analogy for our minds as well. Because if we are going to train our minds to reach our spiritual potential, there are certain things we have to keep away, and there are certain things we have to look after and encourage to grow more healthily. So I think it is quite an appropriate analogy for us to reflect on. We are trying to grow the beautiful garden of our minds, so that we have very wholesome minds, we have very pure minds, and the energy of our mind can support us to do whatever we want to do in following and walking along the Noble Eightfold Path. So, looking at this garden, it really makes me very happy. It inspires me. And there are people who, after they have tended the garden well, they have looked after the garden well, they will just sit there and admire the condition of the garden. And it makes them very happy, indeed. So now, what are the things we must do? In the Magga Vibhanga Sutta, the Buddha said, if we are going to look after our minds, if we are going to develop and cultivate the good qualities in us that will support us in progressing spiritually, there are things you must keep away. There are things you must stop them even before they arise. There are certain factors that you must encourage, and there are certain factors that you must maintain. Just as the garden, as you saw. So in the Magga Vibhanga Sutta, the Buddha said, and he described right effort and the requirements of right effort. So let me just share it with you. The Buddha said in this sutta, and what monks is right effort? There is the case where a monk generates desire, endeavors, activates persistence, upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of, number one, the non-arising of evil. Unskillful qualities that have not yet arisen. This is the first thing. Look for or bring about the non-arising. Then he generates desire, endeavors, exerts his intent for the sake of, and he goes on, first and then the abandonment of evil. Unskillful qualities that have already arisen. Which means to say, what is already there, if it is unwholesome. And we also use this word evil. Although I do prefer to use the word unskillful or unwholesome, rather than the word evil. He says that whatever is there, let go. Get rid of it. Abandon it. Because it does not do us any good to have unwholesome qualities still lurking, in our minds. Then this person, he's talking to the monks, he must generate desire, endeavors, etc., etc., exerts his intent. The effort must go in for the sake of the arising of skillful qualities that have not yet arisen. That means if it is not there, we identify what qualities we don't have and we try our best to develop those qualities. And then the Buddha said, this person must generate desire, put in the right effort to develop and culminate, bring to the full blooming of those good skills, those good qualities that have already arisen. Which means to say, what good is already there, take it to its full limit. Let it bloom like a beautiful flower that we just saw, to its healthiest and highest potential. So the Buddha said this monks is called right effort. So very clearly and very accurately, the Buddha describes what those who are walking along the Noble Eightfold Path and those who want to improve and develop themselves spiritually, we must have these 4 efforts in place. And so therefore, when we come to the end of the year and look forward to the next year, let us think about it. Because it is also Acharya Saro's advice. It is also Venerable Aggacitta, if you remember what he shared with us, it's also his advice to develop these factors. So, what are they in greater detail? The first one, and I try to put it in a form that is easier to remember. The first one is prevent. That is, prevent the arising of unwholesome states and unskillful thoughts which have not yet arisen. There are many states in us, and when we look around and compare ourselves to other people, those people are doing things that are really, really unwholesome. And we don't have any inclination to do those unwholesome or unskillful things, because they hurt people, and they make life very, very difficult for others and for themselves. So if they are not already there, we prevent them from coming. Just as a skillful gardener will not allow weeds and all kinds of ugly plants from arising in his or her garden. So prevention is the first one. We have to stop any of these unskillful things from ever gaining a foothold in our mind. The second one, following the sutta mentioned, we must let go. What we already have and what we are not doing in a good way for ourselves, it doesn't help us. In fact, it disturbs us. All those qualities that we have, for example, like anger, and jealousy and irritation, all these things we try to let go because they are not conducive to our spiritual progress. So, looking at the first 2 of these factors, number 1 is prevent. We have to put in the energy and the effort, also very alert, to prevent these unwholesome qualities from ever getting into our minds. So when we see people doing it, we just turn away. We don't want to be encouraged by them, because the more we look at them doing these things, then we might find these things to be attractive to do. So we don't want to mix with them. We don't want to see these things, in fact. And then we look inside, I have certain things in common, the same, as those, uncultured people who enjoy doing unwholesome things. I don't want to hold on to these things. So I take on the training. For example, the 5 precepts. I take on the sila training to let it go. And then we cultivate what we don't have, the good things, the skillful things, the wholesome things that make our mind strong and make our minds happy as well. We cultivate as many of these as we possibly can. Yeah. If we have good teachers, then we go and talk to the good teachers. We learn, we listen to the good teachers, yeah, and then we actively try to bring about. Yeah. For example, if we don't have patience, or if we are not able to help people unselfishly, then we try to develop these things. We cultivate, yeah, these good qualities. And then the fourth one is, let us maintain it. It's already there, it's already growing, but we must protect it. That means we must give the beautiful flowers that are trying to grow healthily enough protection, keep away the insects, yeah, and the bugs from biting into their stalks, from biting into their leaves, yeah, keep those away, and at the same time put enough nutrition, fertilizer and water and sunlight, yeah, so that it can grow, you know, to what it actually should be. So I notice here that within our circle, within our community, there are people with very good qualities. But it would seem that they have not really thought about putting in more effort into developing it. Or even as they develop it, they are not aware, you know, of how much they have developed. So when we practice the 4 right efforts or the 4 great efforts, we must know, happiness, yeah, is increasing in me. Patience is increasing in me. Yeah, the unselfishness, mudita, is also increasing in me. That means we are actively trying to cultivate these good qualities. So we take stock. Every now and then, we reflect back. How am I doing? Am I doing well in this or not doing well in this? Maybe I need to spend more time. Maybe I need to spend more effort into developing these things. And then I look for good friends, kalyana mitta, good teachers, in order to push the development of these qualities, yeah, a little bit further. So then, I've talked about cultivating the good and letting go the unwholesome. What are the benefits? Yeah, because many people will want to know how they can benefit from putting in the effort. I mean, this is the 21st century. Yeah, we really want to know, if I do this, what do I get? So let me tell you, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters, if we put into place and if we actively develop the 4 great efforts, we will have in us the qualities of happiness being developed even more, well-being. Yeah, we feel that everything is going right. Yeah, in that particular part of our life is going right. Well-being, yeah, will increase in us. And then the sense of freedom will also be developed in us. So don't worry, there are great benefits for us to gain when we practice the 4 great efforts. Yeah, and so we reflect upon it. So as I share this with you, yeah, I myself also want to put into place my resolutions. What shall I do? Because I don't think I have gone far enough in my study and my practice, and also my service to the community. Yeah, what more can I do? So I am making the plans, and it's also good that my Dhamma brothers and sisters, you know, are coming together to make plans for the coming year. Yeah, and if this pandemic come under control, yeah, we would like to have more activities, because we have been delaying, yeah, the activities that should be of benefit to the whole of the Nalanda community. So I'm saying this just to give you an example of the importance of planning. Yeah, let us plan. Let us look forward into what we should be doing. So let me share with you now a quote from the great Zen master, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. Yeah, and I put this here to show us, to tell us what are the benefits. So Venerable Master said in one of his talks, he said, the fourfold right diligence, and this is Venerable Master's term for the four great efforts. He calls it, here you can see, the fourfold right diligence is nourished by joy and interest. So the more we do, the more joy we should experience, and the more interested we should become in what we have to do. So it is the wonderful benefits that come to us when these things are put into place, yeah, and activated. The effort is put in. Venerable Master said, if your practice, and this is a good yardstick, does not bring you joy, does not make you happy, does not make you feel light, you are not practicing correctly. So we take that as our measurement. How do we measure it? Yeah, when you come to the center, when you meet with your brothers and sisters, do you feel happy? When you do the work, when you do the service, do you feel more joy? Yeah, do you plan to do more in the coming year? Yeah, so that you can contribute. All these things, when they come into your mind, should lead to more joy and more interest as well. So we thank Venerable Master for his advice. So, the guardian of the garden. Yeah, in order to have this beautiful garden, there must be a guardian. There must be the gardener, in fact, who puts in the effort to take out the weeds, to clean the soil, to put in the nutriments, to water, to make sure sunlight falls upon it. So what is this guardian that I'm talking about? If we want to really committedly put in the four great efforts, the guardian we must have with us, looking after us and making sure we are on the right track, is mindfulness. Much has been said about mindfulness, because there has been many discussions, in fact forums, by very learned people here in Malaysia, as well as very learned people from overseas, in other countries. So they've talked about mindfulness. But what we are trying to practice is not ordinary mindfulness, because these are the four great efforts. And it comes from right effort of the Noble Eightfold Path. So the mindfulness that we need is actually right mindfulness, Samma Sati, in order to push us further along the path. So mindfulness will allow us to gauge, to be aware, to measure, in fact, whether we are doing things right, whether it is bringing us the benefits that we expect it to bring. We are not hung up, or we are not totally focused on benefits, because we are doing good work also for the sake of doing good work. We want to help other people, we want to advance the cause of the sasana. But when we look at the benefits, we should also be alert. We should also know that there are these qualities that are growing and developing in us. And then we can be satisfied that because of this, we are on the right track. We are going along the right path. And therefore, mindfulness is important. Mindfulness also makes us become more wise. And when we grow in our wisdom, when we can see the nature of things, then we know the significance and the worth of the Buddha's teachings, the Dhamma. So the Dhamma is there. It is only how we can see it more clearly, see it more accurately. So for that, we need the right mindfulness. Of course, people practice mindfulness in order to control their stress. They want to relax. They want to be able to sleep better. That is wonderful. But for us who are intent on walking the path, it must be right mindfulness. So now, the prevention and the letting go. What must we prevent? And what must we let go? The first of these that come to mind when we are looking at this part of the four great efforts is the 5 mental hindrances, which keeps us in the grasp of samsara. As long as these 5 hindrances run their natural course in us, we are not checking it. We are not doing things to hold it back. We will always be in the grips of samsara. So these 5 are important. The first is sensual desire. Sensual desire is with us. We are human beings. We are not enlightened yet. We do have sensual desire. But are we allowing it, to run without any checks and balances? So this sensual desire must be in line with the Buddha's teachings. We also must practice the 5 precepts to keep us on the right side of morality, of being able to live our lives as real human beings. So the sensual desire, when we see it, it's just to maintain us. It's just to keep us healthy, so that we can focus on where we want to focus. We are not going to get rid of sensual desire straight off. It takes quite a lot of cultivation and development, and work as well. But we should know what it is and keep it in control. The next one is ill will. How can we get anywhere when we are angry and letting go our ill will all the time? People won't like us, and we won't like ourselves as well. So we must make sure we can identify the ill will, and keep it under check. Then there is sloth and torpor. Sloth and torpor means we don't have the required mental and physical energy to do the things that we want to do. There are people, in fact, I know of people, of a person, in fact, he was very enthusiastic to listen to Dhamma talks. So he would come to the temple and, sit himself very early. But when the Dhamma talk started, he would fall asleep. And then he would be sleeping there, and then the teacher or the monk would be giving the Dhamma talk. The sloth and torpor was very, very strong in him. So we must take the steps to overcome it, to make our minds bright, to make our minds energetic, so that we can listen, we can learn, we can put it into practice. And it's the same with any other aspect of our life. If we go to work, no boss will be happy if we have excessive sloth and torpor. Got to do the work, you feel sleepy. You can't do the work properly. So in the same way as Dhamma practice, we must put this sloth and torpor under control. Then there is restlessness and remorse. That means the person who is interested in the Dhamma keeps thinking about all kinds of things. Yeah, shall I do this? Is this right? Is this wrong? Yeah, is this a good teacher? Is this the good teaching? Yeah, am I on the right path? Yeah, can I practice meditation? Yeah, will I have problems if I still do, too much meditation? All these makes the mind restless. And if we allow restlessness to bring its good friend in, the next one is the good friend of restlessness. I'll talk about that. If that leads to the other factor coming in, we will be stuck on this Dhamma path. So restlessness and remorse, we must, as I said, recognize it. Is my mind running all over the place? And why is it doing so? Yeah, what's the reason? Is it because I am mixing with the wrong people? Is it because I am having too much of a monkey mind? How do I control it? How do I train my mind? These things must come in as part of the right effort. The last one, as I mentioned, restlessness brings in skeptical doubt. We start doubting. Is this right? Is this the best way? What happens to me if I keep doing such things? Doubt appears, and doubt is the great hindrance. Because once you have doubt and you don't, get rid of the doubt by clearing your mind, getting the appropriate answers, so that doubt doesn't stay in your mind, you will be stuck. And not only stuck, I think we will also go backwards. So these skeptical doubts about the Buddha's teachings, did the Buddha really gain enlightenment? Is the Buddha really a good teacher? All these things all these questions, in fact, have to be answered. And then our doubt, our skeptical thoughts will then start to die down, and then we can do what we want to do. So these 5, in all its different aspects, will come up in our daily lives when we come into contact with the Buddha's teachings. And that is because in us, there are the roots of not wanting to do the right thing. And here I'm going to describe the 3 unwholesome roots that give rise to all suffering, which are Lobha, Dosa, Moha. Number 1, again, sensual desire. Number 2, ill will and aversion. And number 3, delusion or confusion. These are like the virus of our software. We are thinking and we are having a lot of mental activities. We are trying to understand this, trying to understand that, and we are trying to do work. If the virus is there, which is unwholesome and unskillful, the work that we do also will not be very good. So we must using or applying mindfulness, our guardian, our protector, our jaga. In fact, use the mindfulness to identify what is appearing in our mind and in our heart, so that we can take the right action, put in the right effort. So sensual desire, as I mentioned again, we want to enjoy the pleasures of our senses. We can enjoy, as the Buddha said, as lay people, but it doesn't mean we over excessively enjoy. We keep thinking about enjoyment, so much so that we can't do the good work. Then ill will, we get angry, and then there is what is called delusion or moha. The first one, sensual desire, we can identify it, although we don't think it's so bad, because with sensual desire we get to enjoy so when people tell us you must be aware of the sensual desire, we kind of take it with a pinch of salt. But if we really understand, we will want to control it. Ill will or anger, aversion, we know is bad. We can tell people, hey, don't get angry. It's bad for your blood pressure. We know that. So we can feel it. But delusion is not so easy to understand. Because how do we know we don't know? It's quite a difficult situation. Well then, what we can do is we can see the delusion through the first two. If we are constantly desiring things, there must be delusion at play. If we are constantly getting angry at people and at things, there must be delusion influencing us. So it is a roundabout. It's there, but you can't see it clearly. Because of our delusion, we have desire, excessive desire, and we have very strong anger. So when you have that, check the mind. Why is the mind thinking like this? And we can see, if we are sharp enough, that there is something not fully understood that's making us very angry or having excessive desire. Now, I have some information here from the Vitakka Santana Sutta, how to remove the unwholesome thoughts. I won't go through them one by one, but be assured that the Buddha gave us all the weapons, all the tools in order to put in place the right efforts. So one of these is quite interesting. The Buddha said, if we have thoughts and mental states that are not good, replace it. When the car, the certain parts of the car are not doing the work well, get rid of it, put in a good part. So in the same way as when we are angry all the time, replace that anger with loving kindness. This is one of the things the Buddha said. It's very, very good and clear advice. If you don't want this, replace it. So, but it's easier said than done. We need to practice. We need to put in the effort to do it. So, dear brothers and sisters, you must agree, anger is not good. So let me learn more about loving kindness. Let me learn more about compassion. Let me learn more about altruistic joy, so that they can come in. They can naturally come in when we feel anger and aversion and jealousy and all these things. So the more we replace, the more the good roots will grow, and the bad weeds and the roots also, we chop, throw them away. Don't put in our garden, which will destroy and disturb the growth of the beautiful plants and the grass, and the flowers. So please look at this sutta. It's called The Removal of Unwholesome Thoughts, and we can learn quite a lot about it. I'll move on now to the Noble Eightfold Path. And this is what we must cultivate and maintain. Because many people do ask, I want to practice the Buddha's teachings. What do I do? The most automatic and the most efficient answer to that, if you really want to practice the Buddha's teachings, practice the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path is divided into 3 trainings. That is the training on Sila. We must know how to behave ourselves. The training on Samadhi. We must know how to train our minds. First body, then mind. And lastly, we must develop wisdom. We must be able to see things as they really are. And that is called wisdom. Not things as we think they are, because we are conditioned by all kinds of thoughts and ideas. But when we practice Sila, when we practice Samadhi, we will increase or heighten our panya, our wisdom. So it's important. So the first things that we have to do is like planting good seeds planting the right plants for flowers is the Noble Eightfold Path. We have to understand what the Noble Eightfold Path is, and encourage its practice and its growth. Then, the Noble Eightfold Path is like planting seeds in the right soil. After we've planted seeds in the right soil, we must water them. And what is the water? What is the things that we must do to encourage the seeds to grow, the little saplings to grow? And these are called the 7 factors of enlightenment. These are the factors which bring about awakening, seeing more clearly. And they are, I'll just describe them: mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. So these allow the Noble Eightfold Path to flourish, to bloom as beautiful flowers bloom. When we practice this, we can be sure the Noble Eightfold Path is in a healthy state. So, mindfulness, right at the beginning. Then we must investigate the Dhamma. When we come across certain things, we focus our mind on it. Our mindfulness must be strong, our concentration must be strong, our energy must be strong. We look deeper and deeper into what is the actual truth. So here are the 7 factors of enlightenment. To go through them in detail will need another talk. So perhaps we can follow up on this at a later time in the year. Now, let me introduce the group of factors, which is like the sun. The sunlight is needed. So these are the factors called the 4 Brahma Viharas, which illuminates, it shines, and it warms the world. And these are loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. We really do need these things, because they are helping the other factors to grow. It makes us more and more happy, because in certain ways the 4 Brahma Viharas support the 7 factors of enlightenment. Let's say we want to do meditation, we want to train our minds. We must have, and it is said by the great teachers, one of the ingredients of training the mind is happiness. And when we practice these 4 Brahma Viharas, our minds become very joyous and very happy. And when the mind is in that state, we will relax and practice the concentration and the mindfulness to a very high level. If we are not happy, if we are confused, if we are sad, and we are not able to concentrate, especially if our mind is very restless, that is a sign that we are not happy. A happy mind is not a restless mind. In fact, a happy mind is a very composed mind indeed. So it is one of the requirements that helps the 7 factors of enlightenment to be cultivated more strongly. So the first is loving kindness. The second is compassion. The third is altruistic joy. And the fourth one is equanimity. Loving kindness, we know that it is the sense of wanting everybody to be well and to be happy. The second one is we want all the beings to be relieved, to be alleviated from suffering. So although we understand suffering, there is a kind of a happiness there. Compassion is not sadness. Compassion is actually a kind of happiness that recognizes suffering, and it should be developed to strengthen, our commitment to helping beings to overcome their suffering. Altruistic joy is when others are happy, we are happy. And equanimity is to have a balanced state of mind. So these are the 4 Brahma Viharas. So now let us look at the nature of happiness. Because happiness, the sources of happiness are not the same. And when I mention this, some of brothers and sisters out there will understand what I mean. The normal happiness that have been taught to us, is actually the happiness of enjoyment of the senses. That is to say, right, we feel very happy when we can see, when we can smell, when we can taste, when we can feel, when we can hear, or when we can think very, very nice things. So that is what we have been told since we are very small. And we learn also, when we eat things that we like, I feel happy. When I go to places that are beautiful, I can see, that's why many people travel, I also feel happy. So it is the enjoyment of the senses. And then many people work. They work very hard so that they can achieve this type of happiness. They want to have a lot of money. They want to have a beautiful house, a nice car, and they want to enjoy whatever is available to them. So to very much of the world's population, that's the only happiness they have access to. That's the only happiness they can understand. But for us who walk the Noble Eightfold Path, there's another happiness. For those of us who come into the sasana to serve the Buddha's dispensation, there's a different kind of happiness. And we understand this because when we give to people, when we let go of what we hold so preciously, right, we still get happiness. On one side, we must get things in order to be happy. On the other side, we let go of things to be happy. And I'm sure you understand that. When you come and help, when you give your time, you give your effort, you give your expertise, you donate money and other material things, you feel happy because of it. And when you let go of your anger and your pride and your jealousy, and your desire, when we practice that, we also feel happy. So there are the 2 types of happiness that are available to us. One, the ones that most people will know and identify with, is called worldly happiness. The happiness of the world. All of them, many people understand this. And they run away from danger and suffering because it doesn't make them happy. So danger, happiness, and suffering has a dampening effect on the worldly happiness. But then those who know how to renounce, and renounce doesn't mean we shave our hair and wear orange robes or give away all our money. Renounce means we know how to let go. So we know how to let go our desire. We know how to let go our anger and aversion, our pride. And we know how to let go our confusion and delusion. So when we let these things go, we feel happy as well. And that is not easy to understand or to be understood by people who don't do it. There are times when people asked me, why do you get involved so much with the Buddhist organizations? Why do you give your time so freely? Do you get any payment? I said, no, I don't get any payment. Then what do you get? So some of them can understand. I get happiness. But it is not the happiness I mentioned at the beginning. It is a light happiness. It is a secure happiness. Because with the first type of happiness, you must keep on replacing. If you eat, not just replacing, it will come and bite you. You know, when you don't understand it. When you eat too much, you can get sick. When you enjoy too much, you will feel revulsion. I can't take it anymore. I know this food is good, but I can't take another mouthful. That's the nature of the worldly happiness. The unworldly happiness, when you experience the joy and the peace, you can't get enough of it. There are people, and they tell me, there are those who go deep into the happy states of mind. They don't have to eat and sleep for 7 days. Can you accept that? You know that when you are happy, you don't have to eat, because the happiness sustains you. You don't have to eat because your joy, makes your stomach full. You got energy because you are so interested in what you are doing, that you don't really have to eat and sleep and do all the normal things. But if you are not happy, even though you have a lot of material things, there are people with so much money, they cannot sleep. So it doesn't mean that when you have one kind of happiness, that's sufficient. So for us, who are basically lay people, we need both. But we must have one type of happiness at the right time. We must know how to develop it so that we can be happy when it is time for us to put in the word effort, the right effort, to be more happy, to be more joyous, to be more at ease, to be more light. Whereas the other one makes us very, very heavy indeed. So once we know these differences, we know how to plan. We know how to put in the right effort. And that's why it's important for us to reflect regularly, constantly, into what kind of happiness we really want. So with that, my dear Dhamma brothers and sisters, I hope this sharing, as we are coming to the end of the year, will make some sense to you. There has been a lot of information, but it is for you to understand them more, and then reflect on how you want to bring it into your life. How do you want to make it more, or how do you want to be more committed to it? So that's a choice only you can make. I have to make my choices, and you have to make your choices. So make the choice upon deep reflection. Think about it. What really do you want to achieve in your life? What really will make you more happy? Is it the old way, or is it the way of the Noble Eightfold Path? Thank you so much for your kind attention, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters. I wish you happy reflection, and happy walking along the Noble Eightfold Path, putting in right effort. Thank you.